I'm joined by University of Central Oklahoma defensive line coach Dallas Dudley. Coach, thank you for taking time this evening to come on and talk to us. Could you start by telling the viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so originally born in Dallas, Texas. Only stayed in the Dallas area initially, like right in Dallas, for a few years before moving out to Forney, Texas. Kind of grew up in Forney, raised in Forney. Like, to me, I'm a Forney, Texas guy. Went to Texas A&M Commerce, worked with football there. And then that's kind of what helped land me my job here.
So, I guess so. Did you play at all growing up, or how did you get involved with football?
So football, I played. It was like I kind of played a little bit whenever I was in elementary school, and then I played again in high school. Post high school, I did not play. But once I got to college, I got involved in the coaching aspect of football through being a student coach at A&M Commerce. And so that, to me, completely changed my whole kind of plan regarding like me doing college coaching versus, high school coaching, and working with college athletes changed everything for me in terms of like the recruiting grind, the day-to-day grind of it. To me, it appealed to me more. And so that's kind of where like my love for college football as far as coaching came.
Now, what was the process of becoming a student coach?
So I interviewed with our running backs coach, Coach Welch. At the time, it was him and Coach Pardee, who's now in I'm drawing blank on the league name, but he's an assistant coach for Wade Phillips currently at the moment. I interviewed with them, and they kind of just asked, like, as far as like football knowledge, day-to-day task, and kind of went over everything like, would that all be okay with you, and kind of figured out a baseline of where I was at mentally with everything, and killed the interview with them. They brought me on. They were like, bet we want you to be one of our student coaches. And so they put me with the defensive side of the ball, and they were like, look, whatever they need, you're the guy. And so I worked with my first year, I worked with Xavier DB, amazing coach. And kind of helped him with like linebackers. So I was with linebackers my entire first year, helping him with running drills, helping with like any other tasks. It might be equipment, just kind of anything, whatever he needed, I was the guy.
And because you're a student coach, so you're still having to handle classes and such. So how kind of were you able to balance that workload of school and then your coaching duties?
So my first year doing it, my first year at Commerce, I was just a regular student. Second year, started doing the student coaching. And thankfully, I guess you can look at it as like, thankfully it happened during the COVID year, so there wasn't any football. Our season got canceled. So that helped me in terms of getting adjusted to like, knowing the players, knowing kind of how everything ran as an operation wise. The second year, I did not handle it that well because then it was football season, and to me, a lot was just going on and trying to balance schoolwork with, like student coaching. Like the balance of that was really tough on me the first year, and I didn't balance it that well in terms of just getting distracted and not planning things out. But once I kind of that spring semester after that, I kind of had to formulate a plan. Then it became pretty easy. It's just all about balancing. It's really just balancing.
Now, when you went into it, I'm sure you probably had a idea about what coaching was like, and I'm sure when you got into it, there were some differences. Talk about kind of like what surprised you maybe the most about coaching that you didn't either know or kind of expect going into it.
So I guess it kind of, for me, kind of depending on the position. So like our head coach, like learning from him, it was, as the head coach, you're more of a like a CEO of a company or a face of a company where it's so much stuff excluding football that you're having to deal with as far as like, like community outreach, making sure that, okay, this is up to date. This is up to date. Like, and just seeing him try and balance all that stuff, that was very eye opening. But from the strictly coaching standpoint is you might think you know football, but until you have to teach football, that completely, flips the script, in my opinion. Because now you better know what each level has to do and then kind of teach, like figure out how you want to teach it to the guys. Because you might learn something and you might know how to do something one way, but obviously everybody has different learning styles. So you have to adjust your learning style or your teaching style to each player's learning style. And that is where it can get difficult, very difficult.
And so in kind of learning how to teach guys things, I guess how did you kind of craft the coaching style that you currently use now? Did you just model it after one coach at conference, or did you take like a little bit from this guy, a little bit from this guy? Like how did you kind of become the coach you are currently?
So honestly, some of the stuff that I take, like with what I do now, stems all the way back to high school and how one of my coaches, taught me like before the season ever started, any workouts or anything, we had a coach, Coach Parker, who kind of asked every single player, like, how do you need to be taught? He was like, because I'm the type of person, like, I might like yell, but there's some people where if I yell at them, they'll get completely shut down and it's not beneficial and I don't want to break that bridge, And so for me, like with him, it's like, you need to understand from a player, like, okay, how can I like handle you? Like, are you somebody that kind of needs to just be talked through it? Do you need to be shown it? Or like there's somewhere if you get onto them, all right, now that lights the fire in them, now they're ready to go. But I say I take things from multiple coaches just because, like I said, like thankfully in that experience, like I worked with multiple defensive staffs. So it was like, and I know I've been at so many different levels. It's like, okay, now I'm paying attention to detail. Like my attention to detail was some things like definitely came from Coach Fuller, who was our safeties coach, who was a former NFL scout, Super Bowl winning coach. Like his attention to detail, him kind of taking me under his wing, like really taught me a lot as far as just the preparation. And for me, like he showed me how to prepare the right way. And, especially like the worst thing you can ever do is be unprepared. And so I'll probably say like really, yeah, multiple coaches.
And you mentioned kind of floating around from group to group, kind of like what was a normal day for you as a student coach?
Man. So my last year at Commerce, I would probably say wake up 5:30, get to the stadium by about 6:15, get all the equipment stuff, make sure everybody has anything for pre-practice, as far as like if somebody somehow doesn't have a girdle, like, just anything pre-practice wise that can possibly go wrong. Get all that stuff situated, get everything for pre-practice set up, early outs. We had that at around 7:30. Get like trash cans set up for defense so they can do their early outs. We practice till about 10 o'clock. After that, quick little mini break. I had class at 11, so then I got to go to class. So quick shower, go to class, get out of class around like 2 or 3. And then after that, I'm back in the office with the staff until our latest nights is probably anywhere from 11:30 to 12:30, past midnight. And so just working on film breakdown, helping get scout cards ready. If it's recruiting, then I'll watch recruits with Coach Williams, who, was one of our defensive GAs at the time. And just literally anything, like they know, like I'm going to be around. So whatever you need, it will get done. Also having to do laundry. So it's just, it's a lot. kind of just bouncing from back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But whatever they need, that's kind of me. So it was a grind.
Well, you mentioned because 5:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. the next day, those are long days. Did there ever get to a point where you kind of question, is this worth it? Putting in these long hours, managing, the coaching, the classes. Did it ever get to a point where you question, is this truly what you want to do with your life? Is this worth it?
No, because it's easy to, just because of how, obviously, like how little time you have. It's just like, like the little amount of free time you do have can, like, strain on you. But to me, it's like, I've always been a believer in, ever since I was little, like any career I was going to have should not feel like a job to me. That is just one thing I will always say. Like, it should never feel like a job. If it ever begins to feel like a job, then I know I don't need to be doing it. And so, like me, and I don't even like to sleep that much. So it really didn't affect my sleep, I guess you would say. But no, I can't really think whenever it really ever affected me like that, to where I'm like, do I really want to do this? Because no.
Now, I've talked to Coach Dumas, Coach Hall here as of late. They were big on the video side. Now, you mentioned you were on the equipment side of things. Now, just talk about, like, because I think people just kind of assume that they just hand out some shoulder pads. Maybe they throw you some thigh pads, some knee pads, a practice jersey, and call it good. But, like, there's a lot of equipment, I feel like, that maybe it is just kind of taken for granted. What kind of was the hardest part about kind of being in the equipment area?
So whenever I had started working there, like me and the other student assistants, like we were the first set to completely revamp the equipment room. So one, like you're having to take inventory, which inventory can be so dreadful, because you can quickly find out, like, where is some of this stuff going that I know we've had orders for. Inventory can be dreadful. Obviously, like our players are always going to want, as much gear as possible as they can get. So, like, obviously having to tell guys, no, you cannot, no. Even if it's one of the cold days and they want gold gear, no, you have to be very, very, you can't just give out gear, because I'll never forget, like we had a player say, man, let me just get a long sleeve. I'll give it right back to you after practice. I said, no, because I know I'm not going to get it right back after practice. Like, what are we talking about here? And so, like making sure, like stuff like that, equipment boxes, making sure, especially whenever you talk about like road travel, like making sure everything is packed, because the worst thing you can do is, in our last year was our first year transitioning to Division I. The worst thing you can do is go on a 7-hour trip to southeastern Louisiana, and they ask you, where's this at? And it's not here. You know what I'm saying? It's not here. That's all I can tell you. It's not here. So that's stuff like that is just, and obviously weather games where, rain, you got to make sure you got vents, got trash bags, whatever they need. The worst thing you can say is, I don't know. The worst thing you can say is, I don't know. Because what do you mean? What do you mean I don't know? Like, so, hey, just be on top of everything. Be on top of everything. Cleats, gloves. It's terrible. It's terrible.
That I kind of understand, because in high school I was a filmer, but I had to be a manager in order to be a filmer. So I did have to help with the equipment, and like when you forget something, coaches ask, "Hey, where's this?" And you're like, I think it's on the box. You try to like dance around that.
I'm telling you. So as far as like the video side, which Coach Neil does an amazing job at as our video coordinator. I only filmed one time my entire time at Commerce, and Alex Honeywood, who's now at Grambling, shout out to Alex. She had me. She was like, "Look, I just need you to film this one special teams today, and a team segment. Like that's all that needed to get filmed." I said, "I'll take one for the team. I got you." She know I got a fear of heights. I got you. I get up there and I get up on the lift going up. And so like I'm filming the tight for punt. And so as I'm filming it, all of a sudden a wasp gets on like the camera lens. And I only fear two things in life: drowning and wasps. And all you see me do with the camera for that whole rep is like this. And so then get back. We all get back in the office. I told her straight up. I told her straight up after practice. I handed her the card, the chip. I said, "Look, special teams is gonna look a little shaky. Bear with me. I was attacked." And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Just bear with me. You're gonna see whenever we get to film." She got to film. All I know is I got a phone call and they were just dying laughing. I was like, look, I can't do nothing about that. I can't. I promise you. I promise. Never again. Never again. Never again.
I haven't had, and thankfully, I did not encounter that. Now, when you mentioned the lifts, I hated the lifts. Like, I would rather be on the most sketchiest of press boxes. With being in 2A and 3A school, there were plenty of those. I would much rather have been on those than the lift, because there is so like a gust of wind comes, and I'm like, am I about to fall off this thing?
Just like this. Just like this. Just like this.
Well, like, I fought it for my life. And then you're going to get on me like, well, why is the film shaky? Well, I'm not stable ground.
I'll tell there was a game at where was this game at? It was at Tennessee Tech. And so, like, boom, Southern Conference ESPN deal. They had their filmer, but we would always bring our own filmer. So then my friend Jacob, he's a filmer as well. And so it's the ESPN camera, the filmer, and our filmer up on I'm saying they're going up. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking that they finna stop. They just keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. I'm like, whoa, Jacob. So they they have to tell them to harness them in. So like pregame, I called Jacob. I'm like, "Hey bro, you good?" He said, "No, man, it's shaky. It's shaky." I said, you got it, man. You got it. Love you. I love you. You got it.
The lifts were bad. And then, in the wintertime, you're up higher. So it's like, when the sun goes down at third and fourth quarter, you gotta wear gloves. So you're trying to zoom in with like the glove, but you can't get the I will say I was fortunate that the people appreciated the job I was doing. Because I know it can be a thankless job. People don't understand, like, there's a lot that goes into it. There's tight, there's wide. You got to make sure you get, in a tight shot this to this, and a wide shot this to this. We don't want too much grass, but we also, and it's just, like, there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just turning on the camera, right? So anytime.
That's why literally me and Coach Neil have had like conversations about it, and we were like, the thing that's worst about film and like being video coordinator is you might give out like the most perfect schedule, setup, and everything, but you never know film is wrong until after it's done. Like you just have to find out. You have to find out in real time. Coach Neil ended up missing one practice just because he had to be back home for something. And so they're like, hey, look, you got video coordinator for the day. I said, okay. I said, okay. We got in there after practice. Got there after practice. It was a couple complaints. I said, look. It is what it is. It is what it is. Straight up.
I mean, now in your defense, it was short notice, right? You were clearly rusty, so they really couldn't be expecting like high grade here now. Oh. No, I'm taking it that was not the case. Oh. Oh, that's tough. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. Oh, I did, and then like I would get the spiel. One of the coaches be like, "Son, like without this, we're deer in headlights. Like we don't know what we're doing." I think it makes it worse. And you're like, "Well, God."
You already know. You already know. You already know.
I was just like, man. I mean, I was stuff.
Look, that's what I'm saying. You already know, man. You already know.
It's tough. It's tough. And that's just the film part. Like when you got to break the stuff down, that also takes forever to do. So if you film, you still not done.
And so we actually had something happen. We actually had something happen yesterday at practice where we finished. Oh, what were we? Oh, so we were going from individual to team. And so like, boom, like get ready to go team. And so we were going to like defensively, we're free calling it. And so like Coach Neil, was going to do his part for it. And so like, boom, like we're on the sideline and I'm like, whoa, what happened? What happened? Where he at? Come to find out, the camera went from 100% to 0 and died. So he had to run up to the stands and record with his iPad. Later on in the team segment, an iPad died. So I got a player coming up to me trying to use my personal iPad. I said, sorry, brother, I can't help you. I'm at 2%. And so I said, hey, look, here you go. Here's my phone. Like, it's just think on your feet. You got to.
Oh, you mentioned the batteries. Right, I swear some of those batteries would not hold a charge. You charge them overnight, 100%. Okay, I should be good to go. You always keep a spare. Without fail, some point in the third quarter, battery life low. How? You were charged for a week on this charger. I'll tell you. I'm glad somebody understands this because you tell this somebody who hasn't had this experience and they think they're doing everything way out of proportion. And it's like, no, until you have filmed, you really understand that there's a lot that goes into what you're seeing. So, no, I have tremendous respect for everybody that has filmed.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's it's tough. Now, okay, now before we got down on that on that much needed spiel there. Now, you mentioned that during your last year at Conference was the year they made the transition from D2 to FCS. Now, we see that a lot, but like you having experienced that, what was that experience like being a part of a team that made the move up?
So it was, I would say it was very like confirming in terms of like my ideas, in terms of how I viewed the difference in levels between like Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. And so like for me, I was always a believer of D2, D1, especially FCS. Like it's the gap that people like think is really this small. And it's a very small gap. And so like that transition, I will say some things like it was fun because it's like, all right, boom, we're moving up, new conference, uh, you know, new conference, new players we have, I guess you would say like a better shot at, just because, you know, some kids are all D1 or some kids are D1 or bust. And so like the good part is like you get that experience, and I'm going to new places I've never been. Like I'm going to multiple schools of Louisiana. Obviously like some like UIW was a team we played that was probably, I would still say to this point, the best team I've ever, you know, been on the same field against. You know, that team was unreal. But you know, kids are so excited to now post, oh, just, you know, blessed to receive my first Division 1 offer. I'm like, we were D2 2 days ago. We're D2 2 days ago. But it is what it is, you know. And so kind of that whole shift and like the excitement around the area, that was to me what made it just such a special thing. Was like, okay, now it's like, look, we're gearing up, like we're ready to go. And so besides that, like there wasn't, behind the scenes, there's a lot of stuff, you know, admin wise that I just, you know, wasn't really privy to just because I didn't work in that facet. But it's honestly a very fun experience to witness the transition from D2 to D1. The talent is legitimately neck and neck. Like there's some guys that like our defense, for instance, last year D2, I believe, was second in the country, moved up to Division 1, essentially the same exact defense, not only one transfer that we added, and finished 14th nationally in points per game, scoring defense. So it was just like that was something that, you know, we kind of had hung our hat on, was, you know, it wasn't too big of a shock to us. It was just like, okay, cool. Like, but it's also a mentality thing to me. It's all about the mentality in which you kind of instill into the unit. And so like for us, it was like the way we always talked about teams would be like, yeah, they got good players, but I don't care. And so like our players kind of took that same approach. Like, we don't care. We really don't care. As long as we do what our job is, it doesn't matter. And so that's, to me, really the only, you know, that was a very fun part.
And you mentioned the gap in talent being small. I think some of that might have been on display in 2020 when teams were just trying to play any and everybody. I know when Kellen Culberson was at Stephen F. Austin, I think they played, I mean, Pitt State, and you know he knew, but like some of his teammates thought, well, we're gonna pull him out, and he said it was close, you know, up until, you know, later in the second half when the depth got him. But he's like, people were literally sweating over there, and I'm like, I used to think that, you know, it was like there was a clear as day that there's a massive gap between D1 and D2, but like the more I cover it, the more I'm realizing like you see guys come down from D1 that don't play on the D2 level, or getting beat out by guys that were recruited to the D2 level. And I think that kind of gets a lot of people just focus on the two, but like, no, there's really good like talent at the D2 level. I think there was I can't remember who Mexico State played in 2020, that like had just moved up from D2, and they beat them by like 40. And I remember people were just like floored, and I'm like, and that was an FBS team. So like there is legit talent. It's just people don't know that there's talent.
Absolutely. Like for me, like one of the players I got to work with my time there was Kader Kohu, who is now a starting defensive back for the Miami Dolphins. And it's just like, and he was there for the D2 year. He wasn't there for our D1 year. But it was just like, Kader, elite defensive back. And it's just like, at the end of the day, like there's some guys where it's like they're all about, oh, D1, D1, D1. I'm like, go to the school that is the best fit for you. Because at the end of the day, if you think Division I, Division II is the difference in you going to a higher level of football, film is what's going to be king. Period. Film is king. Film is king. Let that.
Yeah. And I think we're starting to kind of notice that more now. I think it's kind of claim like it doesn't necessarily have to be D. It doesn't have to be P5 in order for you to play at the next level, especially now with the various leagues, right? You've got the UFL, you have the CFL, there's the indoor football league, and like Trayvon's playing in Japan. Like there's other avenues to still pursue your pro career, regardless of level. So I'm glad that there's more knowledge on the high level of talent across all levels. Really, it is like you said, a lot of the times, right? It might be measurables. Okay, well, maybe a guy's a few inches shorter than what OSU wants. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's not an OSU player. It's just, if a guy is 5'8" and there's a 6'2" guy, that could be the difference, but the 5'8" could be the better player. So yeah, I think there's a lot that kind of gets overlooked on that. But especially like in our conference, and MIAA, I feel like can compete. They're probably the majority of FCS conferences. I mean, I like you look at the size, because obviously you're a D-line coach. So like the trenches, I just looking across from some of those teams, that's high level D1 size right there. And those guys can move. It's not just big slow guys. No, these are athletic guys. So yeah, no. So I think there's becoming more knowledge of it. It's not as fast as we would like. I think it's just the people see the D2 and assume less than, when that's really not necessarily the case. But
and so I remember, I know I was kind of talking to like one of my mentor coaches going into last summer, and I was talking to him about just like linebackers, and he was like, "Yeah, like how fast of a linebacker are you looking for?" And I was like, "Well, considering the room we have right now, if you're not running a 4, if you're not running a 4.6 and below, or 4.6 and faster, it's tough." Connor Johnson, obviously, freak of an athlete. To me, he is one of the most probably top 3 athlete I've ever been around, period. And like, he's somebody where I'm like, y'all think D2 is just not okay? You are very mistaken. You are very mistaken. And I just leave it at
that. And I feel like you got some on your D line that can say the same thing. Yeah, you can't tell me that Hunter and Zane can't play at the D1 level. I said that. I said that watching the tape. Like, how? I'm like, wait a minute now. I'm glad that they're here. I don't know how they're here, but I'm glad that they're here, because you can't tell me these are not high level guys. So
those two, Hunter and Zane, unreal. Unreal. Thank you, UCO. Thank you. I didn't recruit them, but they are here. Thank you, UCO.
Thank you. I was telling you, when I watched the film of Zane, and the first clip was him getting a handoff, going 50 yards for a touchdown, could have stopped the film right there. Yeah, when I turned on Hunter's film, the first clip, he tackled the center into the running back. I could have stopped right there, but I was like, you know what? I need to see this all the way through. I'm sitting there like, so you can't tell me these guys can't play at Tulsa? Because I know if it's Tulsa, but I'm sitting there like, you don't have this. So I was like, hey, listen, if their launch is our game, so I was overjoyed. But yeah, no, that's just and that's like all across our conference. So this is like it's just a rare case. I mean, you got them everywhere.
So yes, so the level of football in this conference, which I wasn't previewed to before taking the job, like whenever I was kind of deciding on what I wanted to do, I did feel like this school was the best fit for me, job wise, and I didn't understand how highly competitive the conference was. Like they kind of told me about it, and then seeing how everything is played out so far, it's like, oh yeah, like you have to recruit, and you have to develop talent. Like Hunter and Zane, those are some dogs. Those are and the thing about them, they are both very smart football players, and it's just like it's going to be very fun to see how everything plays out this year.
Now you mentioned that when you were looking and figuring out what your next step was, this is where you wanted to be. How do we go from Texas A&M Conference to you coming to UCO?
So whenever I was graduating commerce, I graduated from commerce last May. Interestingly enough, Coach Leck had called me as I was in line to graduate and kind of wanted to chop it up. But I was like, I said, I had to kind of answer real quick. I said, hey, I got to graduate real fast and then I can talk to you. So then I had to kind of put that conversation on hold. But things to me that mattered for me was like proximity from home. So UCO for me is about 3.5 to 4 hours from home, which I love. The city of Edmond is very, very special. Like to me, it's one of the best cities you can be in, period. Really love the area. And then, Coach Doral, his history and kind of the trajectory of the program to me was like the most no-brainer situation. And so I feel like, kind of getting to learn under Leck for a year was big for my development, just because like he did push me. He pushed me. So it was very helpful for me. And I've kind of just kept running with the baton, since then.
Now you came in, you were assistant D-line coach. Then the offseason happened. Coach Sanders leaves. Coach Swanson comes in to initially run the D-line, and then Coach Leck gets the head opportunity. So Swanson then gets moved to DC, and now, to my knowledge, I'm sure he'll still be in there because he's a D-line guy through and through. But to my knowledge, you are the de facto D-line coach now. So heading into year 2, how does it feel to now kind of fully have your own room?
So last year I was with the linebackers, and so kind of after like this season had finished up, like Leck was like, oh, like you've done a really good job, helping out with the D line as well. So like I'm kind of help you out with Coach Swanson, who will be coming in, and you'll help out with the D line. So I'm like, perfect. And so far, like working under Swanson, like seeing his talent development and what he's done at previous places, just learning under him, like helping, like, drill work and all that stuff. Like it has been very, very beneficial, very, very beneficial for me. And the good thing about it is, learning the defense is, can't get too much into the schematic of it, obviously, but can't get too much into that. But I like what it does a lot for the defensive. I'll just shorten it to I like what it does a lot for the defensive line. And so kind of helping the D line with them and just trying to essentially just crank it up. pushing them day by day. Like yesterday, our Indy was really hard on that D line, but we went in the team right after, and they had their best day of spring football. And like for me, like defensive line mentality wise, like you want guys that just absolutely wreak havoc for those linebackers, like Jack, Connor, Noah, Reese, Kazan, all of them, Zion. Let them eat. Let them eat, because the more havoc we are wrecking, the more the defense will continue to shine as a whole. Obviously, like the defensive back room is looking very, very stout so far. Linebackers are playing very fast, moving well, and D-line wise, like it's all about just continue to keep wrecking havoc, make them uncomfortable. Never let the offense dictate the game. You always want to make them, force their hand. And so that's what I love the most about it so far.
And again, we know you can't get into the schematics here, but I know kind of a pain point last year for some of the fans was the run defense, particularly from the front three at times there. I think the Missouri Southern, Northwest, right, there was another game where it was not particularly great out of the 3-man front. And then I think from Lincoln on down, we went to the 4-man front. And I think that Pitt State game with Hunter and Zay, again, too, that was by far probably the best performance I have seen from a pair of defensive tackles in my time of covering. Just an absolute fantastic game. Mm-hmm. So I know there's some concern that, okay, if we're going back to a 3-man front, can the run defense get back to a good spot like we were in 2022 out of a 3-man front where we were effective stopping the run? Can fans expect to see better run defense?
So whenever Coach Swanson initially got here, kind of talking to him, and actually it was a little bit before he had, because it was like right whenever he had got here, I kind of talked to him. I was like, kind of, what is your vision for like a D-line room and things of that nature? He's like, weird, like stopping that run, like stop that, because obviously if you stop the run, that's the most important thing, period. Stop the run. And so to answer your question, absolutely, yes. Like it's a heavy emphasis on defend the run. Hey, look, once we can get into 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and etc. Now go win, have fun. Now you get to tee off. And so, but it's like you still have to earn that. You know what I'm saying? You have to earn the ability to rush the passer. Because if they can just run the ball for 4, 5, 6 yards, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you feel like you have a guy that can be a 10-sack a season guy. It doesn't matter because you're not going to stop the run. And so yes, to shorten it, yes. Stopping the run. Stop the run. Stop the run. Defeating doubles. Defeating doubles.
Oh, I'm saying if you put that on a T-shirt, I'm just saying you gotta put it on a T-shirt and sell that.
I'm telling you, what we've been doing in Indy, like it's been, and the best thing you can see is obviously doing a drill in Indy, working it, and then boom, now you see it on film. And so it's just like the guys are now seeing like, look, this drill we do, see it in film. Techniques we work in drills, see it on film. And so and you're seeing it with the room, like the more they keep seeing themselves making plays, the more they keep seeing themselves do good things, and the excitement that they see whenever guys are, doing drill work on film. Like the best thing you can do is click play, see somebody, whether it's defeat a block or a pass rush move, and they all go, okay, I see you. And it's just like, you're happy for them because now they're all, they're the rock stars, period. So Seeing them do good things is all that really matters.
Now I know we've talked a lot about the tackles, but now there I felt like the pass rush from the end spot last year. I felt like was pretty consistent all the way through. Now there are a few guys I wanted to touch on here. Marcus Soul, Johnny Wilson, Wesley Hudson, and Zachary Stillwell. I At first I thought Wesley and Marcus came on extremely strong at the end of the season. Again, from that Lincoln game on down, I thought Marcus, even though he might not have had the sack numbers, I thought he was getting really consistent pressure. I thought Wesley, as a true freshman, it's very tough to do in this league as a true freshman. I thought he held his own well. I think he had a few sacks. And then Johnny affecting the pass game by just getting his hands up, by making the passing lanes more difficult, and then Zach with his high energy, high motor. I mean, I've seen this guy. He played on the interior, was undersized some. He just kept going and going. What about that group most excites you?
I would say, honestly, their leadership so far, like their leadership, Johnny, his leadership has taken just a monster of a jump. Like Hunter, Zane, like but it's also just kind of the entire room just stepping up. Like whenever we're doing drills, it's not always just me saying something if they're doing something wrong, or Coach Swanson saying something if they're doing something wrong. They hold each other accountable. Like if you're not giving 110%, they are going to call it out. If it's a technique issue, they will call it out. But they're also like teaching each other how to do things right, and they've been getting in extra work, which love to see. But like their technique refinement so far through spring ball has been very nice for me to just kind of watch. Like Johnny's been having a really, really nice spring, and so obviously, with new techniques and new drill work, like it's a bit of growing pains, like kind of guys getting used to doing things, so there might be movements they haven't done before. But like seeing them just continue to grow. And if I was to look at our like OTA 1 to a spring 1, or a spring 1 to a spring 5. Yeah, we just finished 5. Their drill work, and I also show them, this is where you started at. Look at where you're at now. It's night and day, and it's still just like, obviously, we still got all the time in the world before the lights cut on, and so it's just continue to stack. I think that they are going to be really, really nice players. Like Marcus hit a move yesterday in practice, clinic tape. I was like, oh yes. It's one of those that's gonna get added to the portfolio. Promise you. Wesley, he came from DeSoto. Me and Wesley, we obviously we connect. We're Texas boys, both from the DFW area, and knowing that program that he comes from, you have to grind to make it to the field on that from a program like that. So him playing as a true freshman and kind of wreaking havoc in the MIAA, to me. For me, wasn't a surprise, because that's what I expect out of Wesley. Like, he is a very high talent. And so just seeing him just continue to develop and mature, on and off the field is going to be, monstrous. And so that's what's the most intriguing part with this room is their leadership so far, and like everybody holding each other accountable, while also they are paying attention to detail currently. They are really paying attention to detail. And so that, to me, is what, once everybody continues to keep pushing each other in that room, it's going to be something really special.
And on top of that development, when I looked at particularly signing day for you, I was very impressed with that group. I mean, there was big, fast, physical dudes. I mean, very violent tacklers. I saw great motor, high energy, really good length. I think as well. I think if you were to look at it, I mean, those are more like high level type profile. I think they're very high ceilings. Now I know we did touch on um, earlier, about the D1 or bust mentality. Now the big fish that you landed, Braden Smith, the 3-star
Mhm.
from Texas. He was a one-time FBS commit. He had all the D2 offers in the world. And he chose to come to Edmond. I guess first, how how were you able to land him among the many offers that he had?
So you can ask anybody on our staff. I absolutely love recruiting. Like I love it. Like, obviously with the turnover from uh the end of last season to signing day, like there was a lot of stuff going on. And Coach Lake put a lot of emphasis on me and Coach Neal, essentially, to get it done. Like those DBs, like shout out to Coach Neal. Like he held down that DB recruitment. And for me, like I was all the linebackers, all the D line, I'm talking to all of them. But like specifically with Braden, um, a lot of time. I will say that a lot of time. So like whether I'm texting them, kind of just talking to them, things of that nature. Also, like for me, I'm a guy. I like to play video games. I kind of talk to the kids and I figure out how, based off of my experience talking to the kids, like how do they need to be recruited. For Braden, it was like he's a Fortnite guy. I said, no problem. There was a couple nights where we up on Fortnite till about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. But I understand the job must get done. Like a talent like that, it's very, you're not going to get many opportunities to get a guy who recently just won the powerlifting in the state of Texas, former FBS commit. And I'm a firm believer of I will never lose a kid to me not talking to them enough. Like if I'm a loser kid, I'm giving my best foot forward, and we're gonna build that relationship to where like whatever, like if you do end up picking another school, like so be it. But I know at least I gave my best, foot forward. So with him, it's kind of learning what he wanted to do career wise. So I was like, what do you want to do? Things of that nature. And so for him, he's a forensic science guy. Newsflash to anybody that might be interested in UCO. We have the #1 forensic science program in the country. You know what I'm saying? So kind of with that, getting him a meeting with the dean of forensic science, getting him tour of the forensic science building. Making sure like on his first visit, it was him and his grandfather. I knew I had to get his parents on campus. Like there was no way I could get him without getting his parents on campus. And so I set up a second visit for him, his parents, and his girlfriend to come, because also very important person. So I said, all right, look, y'all come, boom, gave the same tour, showed him the dorms, which like the dorms was a big deal for him. So kind of figuring out everything that was important to him, like dorms, distance from home, quality of education, just kind of cooking up a plan in my head and, mixing in that pot, mixing in the pot to cook up the best presentation of UCO that I could give, kind of. Just time. That's really the main thing, just time spent talking to the kids. Time.
And from an on field perspective, what do you like most about his game?
His ability to stop the run is the most wow factor, because he is such a strong kid. Like looking at kind of his numbers and comparing it to, like some of the guys that we have like on the team, like Braden is going to instantly come in and probably only Zane Adams might be stronger than him in the D line room. I think only Zane would be stronger than him, and that's as a true freshman. Like Zane and Hunter, and that's as a true freshman. So kind of, whenever you think about it, like that's a great baseline. That's a great baseline. And his, like, the violence that he plays with, like violent hands, very violent hands. And also, like, knowing the quality of football he's going against, it's like, to me, he is a guy that is going to be a very big time talent for UCO. And also I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
And also, like, another thing kind of with Braden that I hit on whenever I recently had talked recruiting was his honesty throughout his entire recruiting process. To me, is what stood out even more than just obviously like him as a player. Like, his honesty as a person, to me, is what stood out. So, like, him kind of telling me about, like, other schools trying to get him on visits and trying to move the UCO visit out the way to get him up there. And I'm like stuff like that, I respected a lot. He's telling me about, obviously can't say the school, but like a big time school, like 2 big time schools tried to get him to come on a visit. And he was like, no, that's past my commitment date. I'm not doing that. And so I was like, his honesty just, throughout the whole process, keeping me updated, keeping Coach Doral updated, Coach Swanson updated, the parents, talking with them. Like, it was a very great recruiting process with him because it was 100% honesty. You never knew, like, you were never left in limbo. It was kind of just like, obviously you weren't left in limbo whenever it came to decision time, but besides that, like, it was a very fun recruiting process.
Now, okay, now I have to ask that when you did learn he decided to come to UCO, what was the reaction? What were the emotions like when you learned about him committing?
I'll put it like this. The staff said if we didn't get him, they thought I would cry. Whenever he went to call Coach Doral, Coach Swanson had texted me and said, I think Braden is about to call Coach Doral. And I was like, it's either good or bad. And so after the phone call with Coach Doral, I didn't hear anything, but then Coach Doral had called me and was kind of essentially just gave me my flowers and his recruitment. And it was very good news. Very good news.
Because I think I put out a tweet after it had circulated that he had committed, and I think I said something along the lines of like, I don't think the gravity of this is really understood because historically, when we've been in battles against, not excluding the FBS, FCS schools, I'm talking like in battles against the Hardings and the Pitts and like the premier programs, we don't win those. So to get Braden not only over those but over FCS, over FBS, what does that say about the program that those high level guys with some would deem better options obviously saw something in UCO that said, no, this is the best option. This is where I want to play. What is it about UCO that's now kind of turning the tide, in your opinion, to allow you all not only compete more in those battles, but now win
them? So what's obviously, like, this was my first recruiting cycle with UCO, but kind of hearing about like the differences in the past and now is with Coach Donald, like, we are looking at our recruiting class numbers. Like, obviously Braden wasn't an Oklahoma kid, but like, we don't lose Oklahoma kids like previously. Previously, Oklahoma kids would all be going to Emporia. And so like Emporia or other schools. And I think kind of my conversation with Braden was also his head coach is from Edmond. So that helped. His high school head coach is from Edmond. So that helps. The difference in, those other programs at UCO is they see like our trajectory in terms of our recruiting classes are stacking, putting together something big. And our conversation with him was like, he trusts us. He trusts me and Coach Swanson to maximize his talent. He believes in everything UCO and everything that we have to offer from an education standpoint, from a feeling of like tightness within the staff, within the team, things like that. And so I think that is really going to continue to help UCO prosper, is the fact that whenever like we are recruiting guys very hard. I'll tell you, like I said, I'm not finna lose a kid to just me being to them just saying, oh, y'all don't really talk to him. Like I refuse. Like I can't live with that.
Well, before we get you out of here, we do this with all the new guests, kind of some more get to know you type questions. Now, your favorite sports team?
Baltimore Ravens.
See, this is tough because I like Lamar. I enjoyed him at Louisville. I truly did. But same as Peyton Scott, we're diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I cannot tell you how many drafts the Ravens have ruined for us. We make a pick, we feeling pretty good about it. And then Baltimore comes, and it's like, oh, yeah, we'll just take Mark Andrews, or, oh, yeah, we'll take Orlando Brown. So suffice to say here, I guess, can Baltimore get over the hump? I guess is the question. Because I know that they're trying all they can to bring in weapons for Lamar and up the pass game. But you still got to go through Mahomes. And Mahomes is becoming the new Brady, which is almost like an impossible task. So do you think, because the window I feel like has to be now, do you think they can get over the hump in the playoffs and at least make it to the conference championship game?
Well, hold up now. We did make it to the conference championship game this year.
You did?
Now,
I'm not
now, so this past season was probably the most frustrating season of my time as a Baltimore fan, probably besides the Billy Cundiff missed kick versus New England back in 2011, 2012. But the Chiefs game. So keep in mind, let's all think about this. I'm a Ravens fan. Our head coach is a very massive Chiefs fan. So, needless to say, prior to, I can't remember if it was a Sunday or it was a Sunday. Prior to that Sunday, I would like to describe the office as more of a war zone between the Ravens and the Chiefs with me and Coach Doral. And going to watch the game and seeing the Baltimore Ravens run the ball 6 times versus the Chiefs that didn't have a good run defense was probably the most sickening thing I have watched, solely off the fact that we didn't even lose doing what we do best. We're trying to throw the ball 40 times a game. I said, whoa, that's not us. It's not us. It's not us. It's not us. It was really sickening. So do I think the Ravens, and I think this is the best team the Ravens have ever built, period. Like, I think it's better than the 2000s Ravens had the best defense in Ravens history. But in terms of offense and defense complete, I think this was the best Ravens team ever put together. And that's even with losing J.K. Dobbins, Keaton Mitchell throughout the season. But it pained me. It really did. It was hurt. It hurt. So I believe we will get at least one with Lamar. Like if it's very, I'm gonna just let you know. I'm one of those people that if you text me, I defend Lamar. I defend Lamar. They know. Coach Bringston knows. Whenever he texted me about Lamar having a bad game, blocked. It's no suspicion about it. One of my best friends, Chris, I had to block him. I said, look, if you text me during this Ravens game, anything negative, you're going to hold a 365. That means you're getting blocked, and you will not be unblocked until the next year, that same day. So he had to hold the 365. I don't play.
Oh, that's tough. that's tough. That's tough. But no, I'm looking forward. I mean, the division. If Cincinnati and Cleveland can stay healthy, that's going to be that boy. That's
it's a very
that's going to be
It's a very tough division. Actually, can you give me like 1 second to go grab something from the back? Because keep in mind, I have this jersey just in the office, and it got real spooky come playoff time because of a possibility. So whenever the Browns came through and started getting real hot, it got real spooky in the office for me because they knew I had my Flacco jersey, my Flacco Ravens. So had we ended up playing the Browns, it could have got real spooky. And so, knowing Coach Doral, he thinks I have a curse on any team jersey that I wear. Because I wore a Lions jersey, they lose. Any team I root for, somehow they say loses. So prior to the Super Bowl, I said, okay. And I walked into, we had a staff meeting. I said, oh, hold up, my bad, I forgot something. And so I walk in there, Larry Johnson jersey. Coach Doral was like, take that off now. Take it off now. I said, yeah, the curse is real. The curse is real. Unfortunately, it did not work. I had a Larry Johnson jersey and I had a 40 Jimmy Garoppolo jersey I was wearing alternating days leading up to the Super Bowl. Fun times.
oh, that's funny. That's funny. Let's see. Okay, now I normally ask, do you play video games? Obviously, you mentioned it before. Now I have to ask though, are we Xbox, PlayStation, or PC?
So the game system I play on is a PS5. However, I do own an Xbox back home. So as far as people ask me, are you team Xbox, team PlayStation? Truthfully, I say I've had a better experience gaming on the Xbox, but I play on the PlayStation. Okay. Don't get it confused. I do play recruits, and they have still yet to beat me. Ask Cottrell, actually. Ask Cottrell. He had to take a loss recently. Thought he was going to win. Was up 6 with 5 seconds left. 40-yard touchdown. Walk off. All right, we good.
Okay, because I was about to ask about that now because it's pretty well known that you're the king of the crop when it comes to being the top tier Madden player. Now, have you played Jonathan Mosley? Because when he came on last year, he claimed he was the best on the team. No one substantiated that, so I could not verify if that was the case or not. But now, have you played him, and if so, did you beat him?
I have not had the opportunity to play Jonathan Mosley. However, all the players tell me how nice they are before I play them. There was a we had like a little cookout for the players couple weeks ago. I can't remember specifically how long ago, at Coach Donald's house for the running backs, tight ends and linebackers, just kind of throw them a little cookout. Everybody in that house but one got 21 skunked. I said, pass the sticks. Pass the sticks. It wasn't even competitive. That's why I know me and Connor Johnson got a game lined up for, but it's not even a Madden game. It's a NCAA. We said we're going to play once NCAA drops. So we got that game lined up.
Okay. Now, I just said because when Mosley came on, he said he has a specific playbook and a specific team that he. This is what he said. That he uses. That is a proven, tried and true, will win every time. Now, he will not elaborate on the team or the playbook. And again, no one has been able to verify his claims. But I'm just saying that's supposedly out there. He's supposedly the top dog on the team. So I don't know if you issue a challenge, if he accepts it. I don't know now because, he got to protect the brand and stuff. But I just know that's what he claims. So I'm just throwing that out. Yeah.
J-Mo is not winning a game of Madden against me. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Love you, J-Mo. You're having a great spring ball. You are not winning a game of Madden against me, dog.
Oh, that's great. Let's see. Okay, your favorite musical artist?
Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne.
Okay, now are we old Lil Wayne or new Lil Wayne?
Either. Like I'm a fan of Wayne. Like anything from project wise, anything from I'm trying to think of what came first, Dedication 1 or Carter 1. Let's say Dedication 1 came first. Anything from Dedication 1 through now, like I'll listen to Wayne. He had a stretch where there's a little bit of a dip. But I rock with Wayne. That's my guy. Like Wayne, I listen to Wayne. Probably if I had to say like favorite artist just in general, it'd be like Wayne. Big Outkast guy. I'd be fighting Coach Neal over Outkast. I'm trying to put him on. I'm trying to put him on. Wayne, Outkast, The Weeknd, and probably Future and Lauryn Hill probably. That's the thing, yeah. Because I love, yeah.
Okay. I mean, as long as it's not Da Baby or Little Baby, I'll take it at this point. That's like everybody's go-to. And it's like, again, there's more than those two out there. I get it. Like
it is.
They get you hype, that's fine, but there's more than those two out there. So very refreshing answer.
Yeah, it's what's so weird, or I won't even say weird. What's so interesting with our team is whenever, like, because me and Coach Neal kind of went to keep in mind every single player, and we said, "What song do you want added to our practice playlist?" Our team they don't say, like they won't say, "Oh, add this Drake song, add this little." Some of them might say a Lil Baby song. They will be like, "No, you got to listen to this unreleased artist or this unreleased song from some underground rapper." I'm like, dog, I'm not gonna have practice sounding mute. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Some wild music requests. Like I know back in my time at Commerce, we would do a thing called we would kind of go to a guy and be like, whatever song you want played for practice first is what we're gonna play. So we just kind of ask a player, and so some guys want some rap, some guys want some country, and I'll never forget. We go to this corner, Cater. We go to Cater. I'm like, hey, what song? I said, what song do you want to play for practice so we can go and get it ready for you? He said, yeah. He said, give me Keisha Cole Love. I said, what? I said, what? I said, what? He said, yeah, Keisha Cole Love. I said, like the that love? He said, yeah. I said, okay. I get it queued up. It's playing. We got the guy singing it. I said, like, what? I said, what? But, and it's just because you do get to learn a lot about guys whenever you ask that. Like, we had I'll never forget. Our head coach goes, because we had a punter from Australia. And so he goes, he said play Australian music. Find out what he listens to. Play some Australian music. So I'm like, all right, okay. So I go to him. His name is Mitch. So I'm like, hey, Mitch, we playing international music. He's from Australia. What you want? He said, oh, I just be listening to Drake. I said, wait, what? I said, all right. So I said, all right, like, what else besides Drake? And so he said, literally everything we listen to, like Drake, the Baby, Lil Baby, Roddy Ricch, all them. That's what I listen to. So I said, well, so boom, get up there, get the music playing. Head coach pulls me to the side. He's like, why are we not listening to Australian music? Why are we listening to this? Why are we with this the same music? I said, this is what he said he listened to. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know any Australian music. That's what he said. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me.
Oh, that's great. Let's see. Okay, your favorite food?
Luxury or just a regular?
Just in general.
If it's cooked to that same caliber every single time, I went to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant in OKC, and I got a New York strip from there. That's the best. Besides the New York strip, probably a filet, just like, yeah, a New York strip or a filet, like an elite filet or an elite New York strip. That's probably mine. Steak.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. That's all choice. Let's see. Okay, you have any pregame routines that you normally do?
Honestly, it kind of depends on the season. Like, routine wise, no. Well, no, can't say that. Yes, I do. Pre-game wise, I need my snacks. So I remember prior to who did we play last season? Northeastern. Yeah, NSU. Prior to Northeastern, so like right beside the stadium, there's a gas station. Me and Coach Neal, we like, let's go make that run. Because I will say, y'all don't judge me. Whenever I was in that press box, because it is a lot of time between pregame meal, halftime, end of game, getting on the bus after the game with the post-game meal. you might have seen me eating a couple potato wedges. All I'm saying. Hey, look, potato wedges, Sour Patch Kids, some type of candy, like candy with some snacks. So
I mean, you can't coach on an empty stomach. So,
can't coach on an empty stomach. I can't give out the personnel down in distance what I'm seeing from the box on an empty stomach. I can't.
Right. Right. See,
I can't. I'm telling you, we the Pitt State game, very fun experience. Pre-game, I was going through it. I was hungry. I said, look, I need that halftime snack now. So I pull out the little Sour Patch Kids. Coach Roberts looks at me. He said, yeah, Sour Patch Kids. You know it. So you want one? I said, yeah. So, all right, look, we all eat. We all eat.
Oh, that's great. I guess my final question for you is, what can UCO fans expect to see out of your defensive line this upcoming season?
Well, it's a new thing that we'll be doing, but like whenever, it's not even just a D-line thing, it's a defensive thing. But you'll see our signature celebration whenever good things happen, and hopefully UCO fans continue to see it and they kind of pick up. So whenever it happens, they can do it with us. But besides that, you are going to see guys be very physical as far as taking on pullers, taking on doubles. We are going to reset the line of scrimmage. We are going to put pressure on the quarterback, make teams uncomfortable, and you're going to see a lot. It's going to be a very high energy room, very, very high energy. And so kind of just, building on everything, you will see guys use their hands, be such a massive emphasis on using their hands, feet, proper footwork. Is going to be a very tactitious group. Like, we're going to be technicians in that room. So be ready to expect some. We will defend that run.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking time this evening to come on and talk to us. I'm wishing you the best of luck the rest of spring. I plan to make it out there on the 26th for the spring game. But any time you want to come back on, you're more than welcome to.
Hey, thank you, man. I'm gonna let you know right now. That spring game, the amount of kids signed up, and I still got kids that I need to invite. Let me let this in the stands. But thank you again. Thank you again for having me, man. Thank you again for having me.
No problem, Coach.
All right, no problem. Roll Chos.